Well, I'm looking forward to getting into it, Doug. It's wonderful to meet you, sir. Thank you for taking a minute out today.
Sure.
So before we get into your book, before we get into your life and world, I want to know this. 5 years ago, this pandemic changed and shaped so many things in our world today. How did you get through that era, and how did it influence the way that you live your life and even making this book?
That is a great question. To be honest with you, most of the book was written, before the pandemic. It took me 10 years to write this book. But what's interesting is that the pandemic allowed me to put into practice some of the things that are in this book. And one of the things that I strongly believe in, I've been in business my entire life. Since I was 17, I was the youngest broker in the country at one time. I got my broker's license at 17. I've been working a long, long time. And it's always been in corporate environments where you go in every day and it's very restrictive. Now, today, I own my own company. I have employees, and we have a very different environment. It's very, I don't care if magic elves come in and do their job. I need the work done. That's really what it comes down to. And people have freedom to do that. It's not for everybody. Not everyone can be trusted to do that. But when you find the right people and you treat them the right way, you get a business environment that's extremely productive. Everybody's happy. And work becomes, that not that drudgery that you do, but it becomes that part of your life that you do and you enjoy. And part of that was, I'd always wanted to have kind of a hybrid environment. I don't know if we were in accounting. I don't know why people have to come in every single day and sit in front of me and do their work. And we used to do that before the pandemic. But when the pandemic came, gave us the ability to all work at home. And guess what? It worked. It actually worked. We got our work done. We got everything else. So now we have the environment where everybody comes in one day a week. We all get together. We have a meeting. We talk about everything. We exchange ideas and the whole thing. And the other 4 days, people are out being productive by themselves. I have my tax guy. He walks his dog at 10 a.m. every day. 10 a.m. He's walking his dog, but he's online at 7 working. Logs in, at 7 a.m. Working, and then does what he has to do. They have personal lives. My employees are able to drop their kids off at school. They're able to then pick up work again. They work round the clock. It's amazing, but I don't have to monitor them. I have software that'll do it. I rarely ever check it. I never need to. The work gets done anyway. So to answer your question in a real sum, it enabled me to provide a lifestyle, not just that I wanted, but a lifestyle that I could also impart on my employees.
So let's get to the heart and soul along with the book and your company and what you do. If I put you in a school and in front of a bunch of 12-year-olds, it's career day, and one of the kids was like, "Hey, what do you do for a living?" What's your answer?
Well, the answer, you know what? It's interesting because there's a chapter in the book that covers that. It covers about how to be successful and what it is. And while I say I do accounting, the speech that the main character gives is about gardening. Everybody is a gardener. It is what you plant. And where did he get that from? He had a teacher that said he wanted to be successful. He was in 5th grade. He wanted to be successful. He wanted to be famous, rich, and everything else. He wants to matter. And she says, if you want to matter, all you have to do is plant the flower. Plant the flower, and it will change the world. It will provide nourishment. It will provide beauty. It will spread. In 1,000 years, the world will be different because you planted that one flower. Now imagine planting flowers every day. And that is really it. So without realizing it, every single day, you have a chance to plant these flowers. It's the influence you have on the world and on everybody else. And that is true success, is understanding how you are gardening, what your garden looks like, keeping the weeds out, things like pride and gluttony and things like that. Those are weeds. You got to get rid of them. Everyone's a gardener.
Absolutely. So what did you want to be at 12 years old? What was your ultimate vision for your life?
The funny thing is I knew there was one thing I did not want to do because it just seemed completely boring to me, and that was accounting. And, now I'm a CPA. So we tend to major in the things that we have deficiencies in. We just do because we get better at them and we work hard at them, and then we just kind of takes us over. But you know what? I really wanted to be rich and famous and everything else. And, while I've achieved levels of that, That's really not, not what I would wish for today. What I wish for today is to be respected by my community, loved by my family, um, have enough money to live and do okay, which I do. But really, the meaning of life is the effect you have on others. It really that's what everything comes down to. If you have put yourself in a box where you're the only person on earth, what meaning do you have?
Yeah.
What, so
Yeah, I totally get it. So, speaking of family and friends, take me back to your beginnings. Are you originally from New York?
Actually, I was similar to the character in the book. I was adopted. I was born in Toronto.
Okay.
I came to New York when I was 2. I actually remember the day of my adoption. I was a little past the age of 2. I can not only remember the events, I can remember what I was thinking at the time.
Wow. Do you have a photographic memory?
No, but I have a very good memory. I can sharply remember things from 2, 3, 4, all the way on up.
Wow. So, what were the foundational elements of your childhood from 2 on that formed this success that made you pick this career, write the book? What were the elements that were instilled?
Well, it's interesting. It's a good question. What's interesting is that, to be honest with you, it gave me a drive, an incredible drive, an obsession to make money. And this is something that was with me when I was 4 years old. I felt that I had no control. This was just an innate thing because, again, because I was adopted, I felt I had no control over my own destiny. Someone else could always make that determination, could move me somewhere. I could be taken away again. It didn't sound so far fetched. It happened once.
Yeah.
So, what I believed was that with money, I could stop that. I could control things. I could control my own destiny if I had a lot of money. This became something that took me over at the age of 4 years old and started to try to save, make money, learn about money, and move. And this moved to more and more, and more and more as I got older. I get into the stock market when I was 10. Again, same part of that, and started investing. And it outcropped into me becoming a broker at 17. I was the youngest in history at that time to get a broker's license and move into that. However, that transitioned over time to realize as you do accumulate money, you start to realize something. Money's pretty hollow. It really is. You could have millions and millions of dollars. You know what? You still got to take the garbage out every night. There's still, yeah, maybe you're in ultra wealth and get somebody else to do it for you. But you know what? When you reach that level, you've lost touch with real life. You got to do the little things yourself. I do the laundry. My wife does the laundry most time. I do the laundry too. Why? Because first of all, it's contributing to the household, and everybody you should do that. But also, it's a task. It's a very basic task. You need to get your hands dirty. You need to go in there and do these basic things and enjoy doing them. Take the time, take the mental note, and say, this isn't a bad thing. It's not mindless. It's cathartic. There's something in it that brings. Now, with that, I started to understand a lot of things about life, and to be really, I wrote this book for my children, so that to impart this, and it's told through a story. Nobody wants to be told, "Hey, well, maybe they do. This is how to live your life. Step 1, step 2, step 3. Here's how there's your self help. You want to do this." That's not how this book is written. This book is a story. You follow the character through the story. These lessons are embedded in all the things that happen to him. And hopefully, as you read it and you see how it changes his life, you start to say, you know what? Maybe I incorporate a little bit of that myself.
So, I'm going to pick some touchstones of your life in this book specifically. Who's been that inspirational force, that hero that's allowed you to become who you are today?
That's a good question. I can't identify a singular person. There are many people. It's a community. It's a whole bunch of people. There have been many people along the way that inspired me. People in school, counselors, priests, um, family. My father obviously was a great inspiration to me. There were things that he did on a very basic level. He was I have to say, fairly simple person. He worked his whole life. He was a New York City police officer. He was in the army before that. That was his life. He went from step one to step two, earned a paycheck every week. Lived his life out that way. That was very inspirational. There were times he kind of felt he was a disappointment to me in that he wasn't more than that. But that wasn't it at all. I never felt that way. He was always inspiring. And anybody who works honestly, anybody who puts in the effort, who does the best they can, is inspiring to me. And I see it sometimes. People screw up and they're upset about it, but they tried. They did what they could. They did. That's inspiring.
So what made you write this book? It took a long time. What ultimately was the spark that made you start and get it into print and make it a reality?
I started to write a few incidents from my past. I started to write some things, just kind of life lessons and things that I thought were very interesting to recollect and just kind of get a sense of. And that started to morph into making it very creative, add a little story to it, a fictional character and more fictional characters. And most of the characters I have are based on someone or somewhere that I've done, but they're exaggerations or whatever else, or they're combinations, and they're there for a reason. But everything in the book is very practical. There's nothing there that's extraordinary. Nobody flies off into space. Nobody becomes a big hero or something. It's everyday life, just like all the people I know.
So it's the smallest miracles. You've talked about the flowers. There's sunflowers on the front of it. How did that metaphor become emblematic of not only the cover but just you in general?
Well, you know what? It's planting those seeds. It's realizing that what you do every day makes a difference, and that's the other thing. Yet another thing in the book. There's a lot of substance to it, in that it's the small things that make the difference. There's a quote in the book that says, that every golfer knows a 200-yard drive counts as much as a 2-inch putt. Same. And life is like that, except there are innumerably more 2-inch putts. It's the little tiny decisions you make every day to go to work, to do this, to do it. Yeah, there's big things, going on vacation, buying a new car, something, getting married. Those are great things. But you know what? Deciding to go on that first date, asking that girl out, or that was just as important. Every bit counted just as much as the 200-yard drive. Going to school every day. It's not the graduation ceremony. That didn't really get you anywhere. That's what you remember, graduating. But it was going for hundreds of days
Yeah.
that actually did it.
So as a writer, who was an author? What was a book? Who were some authors that really swayed the way that you loved reading or approached your writing?
One of my favorite authors of all time is George Orwell.
Yeah.
And what I really like is his writing style. The guy is so no nonsense. He puts it right down exactly as he wants it. Very creative, uses metaphors all the time, and his books are just, to me, very, very, very genius.
So if you could meet one person alive on the planet, whether it's a business mind or otherwise, and spend a little time with them that might help you in your life, who would you love to meet and talk to?
One I suppose would be Warren Buffett.
Yeah.
Obviously there's a business connection, but it's a little bit more than that. The man has a very understated philosophy. He doesn't jet around all the time and drive fancy cars and live in big houses. In fact, he does the opposite. He's not, he's not spoiling his kids. They have to make it on their own too. He has all the money in the world, really, and he could do so many things personally for himself that he does not do. And I find that inspirational.
So at the end of the day, what gets you up every day to do this work? As you mentioned, it's all the tiny touchstones that every day you do what needs to be done and it builds into a mountain. But what is that for you that gives you the energy to to do this work, to lead people, to write this book, to take care of your own soul and your family? What is that for you every day?
I like to work. I like to grow. To me, a bad day, if you call, what's and it's fine for some people, but it's not for me. A bad day is when I do nothing. And I do have my recharge days. I work very hard to have recharge days where I say I'm going to deliberately try to not do anything today, anything substantial today. I find that very hard. It's kind of in my wiring. But to be honest with you, what I really need each day is to accomplish something, and it doesn't have to be a great thing, or it doesn't have, it, but there has to be some mark either on myself or somebody else. What's nice about a book is it does it for you. You
Yeah.
put it out there, someone reads it. I don't even know they've read it, but maybe I've touched them. Maybe, and then you know what? That day isn't wasted.
So let's say you have a dream tonight, run into an 18-year-old version of you ready to go out into the world, or the 17-year-old version of you as a broker. And you could give that version of you a piece of advice based on this life you've led, the wisdom you've gained over all these years and choices. What advice would you impart?
There is a. I'll go back to the book. When he's 10, the main character is 10 years old. He's. I won't get into the details of it, but basically, he wants to meet himself when he's 50. He's good. So he sits himself in a room and he says, "I'm going to meet myself when I'm 50." And he tries to imagine this. And if he could ask himself one question, what would it be? And he thinks and he thinks and he comes up with a bunch of superficial things. But then he lands on the question. He's going to ask his 50-year-old self. And when he's 50, he's going to come back to that room and answer that question. And the question he asks is, why should I be proud of you? And the answer, which doesn't go, it's not mentioned in the book, but being the author, I know what the answer is.
Yeah.
You should be proud of me because I always tried my best.
Yeah. Let me ask you this. if you if you were to walk into a room of everybody that knows you in a business sense, maybe they haven't read your book, they don't know the personal side, and you walk into that room of all these professionals that you've known throughout the years, and you could tell them one fun story, maybe the first concert you went to, jumping out of an airplane, a really cool place you visited, an adventure, climbing a mountain. What would you tell them?
Oh my goodness. I have such a collection. I could write 10 books on those alone on different things, different amusing things. A lot of it has to surrounds in business. A lot of them are in the book. They're excerpts and little things, but things that happened, things that you do. I was an altar boy in school. We were adolescent monsters. We were just not holy kids. We were terrible. We had one story real quick, and it didn't necessarily involve me. I was part of it. When you have a funeral, you have four people. It's a very somber environment, and the kid next to me is holding a candle, and he decides he's going to light the kid in front of him on fire.
Oh no.
Yeah, so all this is going on in the middle of a funeral. So again, I've got a million of things like that.
Yeah. So at the end of the day, of everything that you've accomplished and evolved to and overcome, what are you the proudest of?
You know what I'm the proudest of? It's hard to say proudest, but what are some things I'm proud of? I'll give you one that I'm proud of. I was a chief financial officer for a public company, a division of a public company for 12 years. In that time, I had about a department. It was spread across the country. I had people working for me in my own department, people across the country. I had about 45 people working under me. And in that time, not one person, not one of those 45 ever left for another job. I had two people pass away. I had some people retire, but nobody. I had to terminate innumerable number of people. That's different. But nobody ever left me on their own.
Wow.
And we had an environment. I kept head office as far away from that environment as we could. We had a little bubble. We used to call it the accounting bubble. And that I think that says that it was a good environment. We did a really good job.
So at the end of the day, as the man behind the business and the book, everyone has a perception of you. Family, friends, employees, everyone that's a client, everyone that gets your book, but you run the show. What's your perception of you? Who do you think you are?
I'd like to think I'm rather grounded. That I like to be understanding. The one rule in my office is don't ever be afraid to tell me anything. If you make a mistake, and people do, it's part of it. I expect everybody to make every possible mistake. It's when you make it more than once that I have a problem with it. But everyone's going to do something, some way, somehow wrong at some point. And so, you know what? I'm very approachable. And I know this. It's not just my perception. I know this through the evidence that that comes with it. Is that I look, and really I'm looking to help people and give them, the best advice I can.
The Smallest of Miracles is your book. It's on Amazon. If anyone wants to reach out and has any questions, they want to send comments, they want to hire you, get involved with your business model, any of the good business, where do they go?
Well, they can go to Amazon and buy that. I would love to get a review. I like honest reviews. Hopefully they like it and give it 5 stars. But that's up to them. But I don't, anyone who wants to find me on LinkedIn can, put in my name. I'm a CFA and a CPA. The only really one out there on LinkedIn with those credentials, named Douglas Carpenter. So, feel free, reach out, and I'll be more than happy to chat with anybody.
This has been absolutely wonderful, Doug. Thank you so much for your story. Thank you for your time. Best of success with the book. I appreciate it, man.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.